Today we are diving into a hot topic. How does coffee, or more specifically, caffeine, impact your fertility? Hello, I'm Dr. Samantha with Walk the Naturopath. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we come out with a new video every single Friday about fertility. So today we are spilling the beans about coffee and fertility. Yes, that was super cheesy, super punny, but here we are. Now, before you swear off all coffee and all caffeine, let's talk about how caffeine can really impact your fertility. So here's the deal. When it comes to females particularly, caffeine can impact your hormones and your cortisol levels. A cortisol level shifting can cause an imbalance in our reproductive hormones. For example, if you get really stressed or go through a really traumatic event like a car accident, for example, that can impact your fertility. Why? Because your cortisol levels were through the roof, and that can lead to an imbalance in our sex hormones, our reproductive hormones, which can lead to an imbalanced cycle, which can even delay ovulation. Now, does caffeine or does coffee even make that big of a difference? It depends. And we'll dive into the it depends and the nitty-gritty in a second. But what I do want you to know is that if your cortisol does spike and if caffeine does do this for you, it can impact your sex hormones, delay ovulation, and even impact egg quality. We can't forget to talk about both partners. So when it comes to the male side of things, we have seen research that suggests that caffeine can impact sperm motility, morphology, and even count. Separate from caffeine, coffee may actually provide fertility benefits. Why is that? If you buy coffee beans that are well sourced and are good quality, then they actually will provide benefits through high levels of antioxidants. Now, amount's always going to matter. I usually say keep it under 200 milligrams. Here's the trick though. Some people, even at the dosing of 200 milligrams, might actually be impacted still in a negative way. Here's how you can tell if coffee is impacting you in a negative way. So the first one being, if you have a cup of coffee, do you get jitters and anxiety? If you feel that you are kind of shaking inside or all of a sudden you're having a more anxious day, see, one, does that relate to your caffeine intake? Does it matter on the amount you have, or if you just have caffeine, does it make you feel that way? If it's making you feel that way, odds are it's also spiking your cortisol, which definitely isn't desired. I would consider eliminating all caffeine in that situation. Also look out for stomach upset. Some people who drink coffee do get a gastrointestinal reaction. One, if you're getting really loose stool after drinking coffee, that's not gonna be ideal. Two, if you're relying on coffee to stay awake, that's also a sign that your body definitely needs to go through some healing. And we don't wanna just make sure we keep drinking caffeine to be able to function throughout the day. If you're trying to conceive in general, I usually just say cut back to that 200 milligram dose that I talked about before, and maybe replacing that additional caffeine with herbal teas such as green tea. That's a really great source of caffeine that usually doesn't cause those jitters as much. Going back to that first tip, if you do feel like you're getting anxiety and jitters, I also recommend making sure you eat before you drink your coffee, or at least eat while you're drinking your coffee. That can usually reduce that cortisol spike and make things feel a little bit more grounded. In this video, I've said caffeine and caffeine very interchangeably, but at the end of the day, coffee is very different than just caffeine. We're also talking about sodas and energy drinks and even some teas. So it's good to remember that caffeine is in other sources. Make sure you just evaluate internally how your body's feeling. For the men out there, this is gonna be the same thing. I feel like sometimes when I give tips on here, females just take them. This is for both of you, okay? At the end of the day, it's really important to remember everyone's fertility journey is different. I think moderation is always key. Good quality is always going to be better. For coffee specifically, I usually like to recommend organic beans that have been third-party tested for mold to make sure that those are not issues surrounding your intake. Ultimately, like I said, you have to kind of dive in, look inward, see if coffee is truly irritating you, see if it does give you anxiety, or if you are relying on it to either use the bathroom or stay awake through the day. Those are not going to be ideal situations. And with that, we will need to find and treat the root cause. I'm always here for you. Remember that I do work with people one-on-one. I do have a slight wait list, but I would love to help you on your journey. Please check out all the links down below. There's a lot of good resources down there for you, including my preconception care guide. If you learned something new today, please give this video a thumbs up and then have a beautiful rest of your day.